having a colorful dream to start your own business? Then you are at the right place, watching the right content to realize that dream. Because today we are going to discuss how to develop an effective business plan. For that, today we are privileged to have one of the most suitable resource persons for this discussion because he is a leading entrepreneur in the country, in the financial technology industry, fintech industry. So, having won the best CEO of the year and the best future leader of the year in the small and medium service sector category at the CMI Excellence Awards in 2017, he has proven his entrepreneurial qualities. Accordingly, we have Mr. Kanishka Weeramunda, CEO and founder of PayMedia, which provides best caliber of total financial technology software solutions for banks and other financial institutes. And also, he is the founder of SquareHub, which accommodates the startups through services ranging from acceleration, incubation, and co-working space, aiming to disrupt the existing business ecosystem through startups in Sri Lanka. Mr. Kanishka, we are so pleased to have you here as our resource person today to have a very fruitful discussion.
It's my pleasure being here.
Thank you, Mr. Kanishka. And first of all, I would like to know, now you are in this fintech industry and through your SquareHub, you are going to challenge the existing ecosystem of existing business landscape in the country. Actually, how can startups challenge the existing business ecosystem?
Right. So we'll take an approach like this, right? If you take a general business and a startup, the major difference is startups would have an idea which would disrupt a market. So when you disrupt a market, it initially has a very slow growth, but then after some time it will have a growth which will cut across a sustainable growth in a business. So that is what we call the main difference between startups. So startups are generally proven to disrupt, and they basically create either a new business model or an existing business model to think in a different way. So that's how startups has worked and helped a lot of disruptions.
So your business idea has come to a reality through fintech industry. Likewise, potential entrepreneurs, they may be having different types of business ideas in their mind. So selecting the best idea to execute it, to implement is important. Actually, Mr. Kanishka, what is your suggestion for upcoming entrepreneurs to select the most viable business idea out of their vivid business ideas that lies in their mind?
Right. Now, when you have an idea, you have to validate and revalidate. So, the ideal approach should be look at an issue, right? In an issue, there might be several problems. So, you have to look at how impactful is this issue to people. Is there a group of people who is getting actually a value created? And then in that issue, you identify what is the most suitable problem to solve. So there can be multiple problems. So that is where you take a methodical approach to select what would be the best thing which can create more impact. Right? Because end of the day, impact matters because that is where you will have the growth. Right? So that is the best approach in terms of selecting and revalidating your idea. And in most cases, your first idea definitely will fail. Right? If there are no failures, you will not have learnings, right? So you start off with an idea, then you pivot that idea to fit into the market, because sometimes first time when you have an idea, probably you might be thinking that this might be the ideal solution to go out, but when you validate in the market, you will figure out that this is not exactly the customer wants. So then you probably have to pivot it. Over a period of time of pivoting, you will come up with a better concept and idea.
So once selected the most suitable business idea, actually how is it important to convert that business idea into a proper business plan? How to convert that idea, that dream into reality through a business plan?
Right. So if you are seriously going to start a startup based on the business idea, you need to look at three things. First one is why, second one is how, the third one is what. Right? So why is the purpose, why you are going to do this. So that will address the impact and a larger vision why they're going to start this. Then second is how. So that is where you will basically think, if you wanted to achieve this why or the vision, what are you going to do, right? And the what part will come and tell exactly what are the elements that you should do in terms of achieving the how and the why, right? So that is basically, we call it the golden circle.
Golden circle, yes. So once we determine the components of our golden circle, obviously we have to carry out our business plan, we have to implement it. Where to start with the business plan, or rather what are the aspects that we need to consider when making our business plan?
Right. So I would say first thing, you should look at what value you are going to create through your business idea or the startup idea. Whether it's going to basically create a solution for existing problem, it can be something which is not existing as a problem, but you see that you can create some sort of value. So that you have to figure out what is going to happen. So I can give examples from what I have done. So in fintech industry, what we have done is, we originally came out as a payment processor, but later on we figured out payment processing can be extended in multiple ways, right? That comes with the experience that you gain while doing that.
Yes. And also we say customer is the king. That is a quite common slogan we have. So how to pitch the correct customer segment, and thereafter how to maintain healthy customer relationships throughout?
Right. So that's a very good starting point. When we have a business idea, first thing is we need to look at the customer. We can group the customer in multiple ways. You can segment them. You can figure out whether it's a niche market or whether it's a mass market product, or today's trend is whether it's a 2-side or 3-side market, right? Now if you take some examples like Uber Eats, Pick Me Food, Daraz, so those kind of digital born companies has multiple side of market. So they earn by selling a single transaction, or rather selling a single product from multiple channels. So whether you're in 2-factor or 3-factor market, or sometimes your product can be required by a very limited amount of people, then you're in a niche market. Maybe you're doing something which can be gone for a quite large audience, then you're in mass market. So you need to segment them, identify what is the exact need.
Yes. So when it comes to customers, they are one part of our entire stakeholder basket. And apart from customers, we have other lots of and many key partners which are related to a particular business. So when developing a business plan, how can we address these other key partners in our business?
Right. So we have to identify, once the customers are identified, who are going to be our partners in this operation. So maybe let's say you wanted to sell something online, maybe e-commerce development company can be a partner, probably a platform can be a partner, or payment processing, a bank or a fintech can be a partner. So there will be many partners. Not only that, even your suppliers can be your partners, because sometimes if the partnership doesn't work well in supply chain, you might end up with not having enough stocks or enough material to sell. So you need to clearly identify whom you're going to partner with in terms of getting this progress and to deliver the value that you get for your customers.
You discuss about supply chain, Mr. Kanishka. So supply chain management is vital to have a proper value chain in the business organization. When it comes to this supply chain also, we can't forget about proper channeling in our business organization. So it may be kind of a practical problem that an entrepreneur is having, or a startup person, or the person who is going to venture into a new business is having. So how can we handle this channeling, proper channeling in the organization?
Right. Channel is a very important aspect, because channel is where you're going to reach your customer. Yeah. So you might have multiple channels, right? Sometimes you might directly reach your customer. In some cases, you might use a partner network to reach your customer. For example, you have a product, you wanted to sell it online. Maybe you have your own website. Maybe you will be looking at somebody like Daraz to sell it. You can also look at probably a distribution channel where you have a dealer, distributor and a retailer to sell, right? So you need to select what channel. Sometimes it becomes a mix of channels based on your product, right? You may have all these possible channels used in terms of creating awareness, evaluation, product availability, and also how a customer would take a purchase decision based on the most suitable channel for them.
Yes. Actually, management is all about getting the best use out of limited resources, since we are having limited resources. Then to get the maximum use out of those limited resources, we need to have strategies. So in startup, it's really vital to manage their limited resources, and also their key activities should be fostered through proper strategic orientation, because if strategy fails, obviously the organization also fails. So how can we balance these limited resources and the key activities, how to drive our key activities to reach the business goal?
Right. So first is you need to have a clear understanding of what resources you require to run this operation, right? It can be a physical operation, it can be a virtual operation, but you need to understand what resources are required, and you need to then look at what is your key activity, because your key activity is the core of your business. Whatever is beyond your key activity is something which you can either outsource it or take a resource from outside, because your key activity will be the core strength, and that is what your operation is going to be. Because if you don't achieve the operation excellence in your key activity, you're not going to make it, right? Same time, you need to balance your resources, because resources are, first is costly, then the second thing is we all have limited resources, so we have to manage our resources more efficiently in order to achieve it, and this is very vital in the early stage of a startup.
Yes. It's a really an eye-opening thinking, especially for entrepreneurs who are going to newly start their businesses. And Mr. Kanishka, I really wanted to ask this question from you. What is your suggestion, your advice on financing? Because financing can be kind of a critical factor, especially given the economic condition in Sri Lanka. Then, when preparing a business plan, what are the things that we have to consider in terms of cost and revenue streams of the organization?
Right. So when it comes to a startup, we need to understand how you're going to structure your revenue streams, because revenue streams can be as a part of a transaction, or it can be by selling of an asset, it can be a brokerage fee, it can be even be a subscription fee, or sometimes we also have freemium, where we later on, after getting a large amount of audience, where we monetize it, right? So revenue stream is very important, and all revenue streams has to have a strategy, because penetration as a startup, penetration into the market is the most crucial thing, because getting your first customer is the hardest thing, right? If you get your first customer, you have a reference point to get your second customer, right? So then revenue stream, you have to have a strategy on revenue stream. There is no single revenue stream which can be applied as a blanket, right? On the cost side, you also have to look at how we are going to manage our runaway. So runaway is basically, before a plane takes off, you need to have required length, right? So that is your investment, or basically the way that you're going to fund it. In that, we generally, theoretically, we look at variable cost and the fixed costs, and then we need to identify what resources at what level is required to run the runaway and take off, right? So when you take off, it's a different cost mechanism, because in certain startups there will be certain points where you can't reverse, right? So you have to basically look at how we are going to fund it continuously, and then also looking at how to reduce the cost elements, and then your strategy of revenue streams, multiple revenue streams will come at different intervals. So that's a complete basket of combination on both cost and revenue that you need to have.
So one additional question comes into my mind, Mr. Kanishka, with your answer as well. So given an economic crisis like this, still we are in the developing stage as a country. So what is the suitability of entrepreneurship for startups to start at this point of the country? Do you think it's a suitable thing, or rather, because entrepreneurs may be having that question, whether I have to wait or whether is it a good idea to start my business now? How to see that?
Okay. My opinion on that is, when we are at a economic condition where things are not moving well, that's the best time to start, because that will give you a lot of leverage to grow. So if you look at most of the startups which are started during I would say economic downfall, has done really well, because they can manage their cost as well as they see how things could be done in a new way. Every economic downfall will open up another good wave for most of the entrepreneurs. So if you are having an idea, or if you are thinking to become an entrepreneur, I would say the best time is now. Right now.
Right.
So there is no delay in entrepreneurship. There is no best time for entrepreneurship. It's something which you should start when you have the idea right now.
Then, Mr. Kanishka, yes, finally, it's all about value creation in an organization. So, internally, externally, any organization should create a shared value. So, how startups can generate that value from their very first step until their long-term survival, how they can generate that value?
Purnima, I'll take an approach like this. Now, the difference between an entrepreneur and a businessman, right? If you take a businessman, they are focusing on profit. Profit maximization is their focus. If you look at an entrepreneur, their focus is more into value creation, right? So value creation comes first, and the second part becomes your profitability part. So when you look at in a startup, we generally tend to go down at the initial stage. So we see that we would not basically make any profits or anything. We have to invest a lot of time, effort, money, everything. In a business, from probably day number one, you do a capital investment, you will start getting your revenue, and you will have a sustainable growth, right? In a startup, what happens is we consider as an exponential growth. This is similar to a J curve. So you have initial state, a ground fall, and then what happens is you have a exponential growth. So that's the main difference. So value creation is the key to get the exponential growth. If you do a traditional business, you won't be basically getting a value creation. You will be probably running a similar model somebody else might be doing in somewhere else as a business.
Yes. Actually, Mr. Kanishka, we are a leading entrepreneur who is having 23 plus years of experience in fintech industry. So, but this journey, I think it's not a very smooth one, obviously. Yes. You may have faced 1,001 hardships, challenges. But the thing is, most of the time our entrepreneurs, in front of these challenges, their entrepreneurial mindset, their entrepreneurial idea dies. Even before they come into this world, they die in their own mind itself. So what is your suggestion, advice for our new entrepreneurs to overcome their challenges, how to face these hardships?
Right. First thing is, if you have failed, you have learned a good lesson, right? I started my first startup at the age of 19, which failed. Second startup around the age of 22, failed. 23 I failed. And again around 27 I have started another startup, failed. So I have 4 failures, and they are great failures, right? And I started my the PayMedia startup at the age of 34. By that time, I have mastered the art of failing, right? So I would say, start something. Failing is normal. When you have more failures, more often when you fail, you will succeed more in the future. So don't worry if you fail, the sky won't fall on you, right? It will be a learning point, and life moves on. There are so many opportunities. So nothing will come to end because you failed a startup, right? So that will give you more courage, more skills, and I would say encouragement to stand again and start another thing.
Yes. Now, I thought of asking, now we discuss about more technical aspects of developing a business plan. And as blooming entrepreneurs, you're also into fintech industry. As blooming entrepreneurs, how our entrepreneurs can inculcate or rather combine with novel technology. That is one aspect. On the other hand, I got to know that you have been awarded as the best CEO and you have been nominated by your team members. In one of your speeches, you mentioned that. So, human factor is also very important. These two things should be balancedly achieved by an organization, technology and also the human factor. So, how can we have a balanced approach between these two as an entrepreneur?
Right. So I'll start with the second part of the question, the human aspect, right? I believe very strongly I'm nobody without my team, right? So team cohesiveness, the management coming together, thinking and being together is the crucial thing for a successful startup, right? So team is important, and same time the biggest challenge what we have that has an impact on the technology also, and also the business models that change, right? The knowledge and the competency of the team matters. So you also need to guide them, coach them, get them also knowledgeable, upskill them in order for you to succeed as an entrepreneur, as a company. Technology is a very challenging today, because I think if you look at the most of the technologies change in within 6 months to 8 months now, right? Earlier we had an 18-month cycle, before that we had about 3-year cycle, right? End of the day, if you really look at today, a person who is going for a 3-year degree in a university in IT, when they come out, the technology has changed. Whatever they learned in the first day is outdated, right? So that's a pretty much of a challenge. So we have to basically have continuous learning within our organizations to be up with the game, right? But technology also has now done a lot of automations. Like if you look at AI, today if you wanted to get an application done, you can train an AI model and AI will basically write the coding for you, right? So those kind of advancement is also there, which can support. So we need more brains who can think and train an AI to get the job done, right? So upskilling is a key thing, and these two go hand in hand.
Yes, because technology can do many things, but it cannot replace the humanity, what we breathe into a product as human beings. I think that cannot be done by mere technology. So balance of technology and humanity both matters. And leaders are there not to create followers, to develop another leader, what we are doing currently. So Mr. Kanishka, we had a very interesting session, because we discussed with your experience, with your exposure and 23 years plus experience, which is really valuable for the upcoming people, because they are like coming into the field blindly most of the time. Even though we have educational qualification, we don't have experience. So where to start, how to do the things, we are totally clueless. So thank you very much for dedicating your valuable time to educate them, to open their eyes regarding how to have their business plan, how to become an successful entrepreneur in the country. So as Mr. Kanishka correctly mentioned, dear viewers, there is no right time for entrepreneurs. The right time is right now. So you have watched this video now, and right now start implementing your business idea. Make your dream a reality. Thank you very much, Mr. Kanishka, and again, I hope to see you one day with this type of very fruitful discussion.
Thank you for inviting me.
So now this is the right time for you to start your business, for you to implement your business idea. We discussed how to develop the business plan, but many more things to come in, because we need to educate you regarding digitalization of your business, and also another important aspect, which is women entrepreneurship. Lot more is there to discuss. So stay tuned with us. We'll come back with another fruitful video.